and they were just turning that school from an elementary white to a black junior high school. And so he sent me there to coach girls basketball since they were opening it up. And so when I got there, when the coaches said, where you think you're going? I said, I'm going to coach the girls basketball team. The superintendent sent me here to coach girls basketball. He said, I'm coaching girls basketball, so you can go on out there on the field and coach those boys. That's what you can do. So I said, yeah, that's a good idea.
That was your response.
Nothing about no football. All I knew is somebody caught it, somebody threw it, somebody passed it. That's all I knew. But I was a daredevil, you see. So anyway, the next day, I went out there, had on my warm-ups and everything. So the other coach, the head coach said, where you going? I said, I'm coming out here to coach football. He said, well, where's Coach Chapman? I said, he said he want to coach the girls basketball. What is going to happen now? But those boys were good to me. They showed me where the guard stood. They showed me where the tackle stood. They showed me where the end stood. Who was the best? The boys told me. Because the man, he refused to tell me because he didn't want me out there, you know. So anyway, that went on for a while. That went on for anybody they didn't want in the ninth grade team that couldn't play, they threw them on my team. So I have a picture of them right here. My first football team, it says Coach Herman Adams, varsity, Coach Shirley McCray, 7th and 8th grade football team.
Hi, everybody. Summer, and I'm back with another episode of So What Success Stories. And today I have another special honor, special privilege to be talking to a living legend. Beautiful for us. This is Coach McCray. Coach McCray, and this is her book. She is the first woman coach of an all-male football team. And she has special ties to the University of Memphis too, just like me. I am super, super excited to be talking to this woman right here for so many reasons. And one including is my soror, another member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, so University of Memphis alum, and has done some incredible. Her story is so beautiful and so inspiring, and I can't wait to talk to her a little bit more and for her to share her story. Coach McCray, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, hi. My name is Coach Shirley McCray. That's what everybody know me as. And I was born in Chicago, Illinois, November the 17th, 1941. So in a couple of months, I will have made 80.
Awesome.
All right. My mother's name was Dorothy McCorkle, and my father's name was Walter McCray. I was raised in South Memphis. Fourth generation from slavery. I was a product of the Memphis City Schools, graduating from Hamilton High School in 1959, 62 or 63 years ago. Doing integration. We had two separate school situations. There were whites in the school. The blacks were on one side of town. The whites were on the other side. We had a separate school system. Anyway, I left Memphis in 1959, and I got an associate degree from Wilson Junior College in Chicago, Illinois. I had to go stay with my dad some. I got a Bachelor of Science in Health and Physical Education from known as Memphis State University. Not no University of Memphis. I can't even remember when they started calling it University of Memphis. But anyway, I was the first African American to graduate in health and physical education in 1967. I almost had the same history as my classmate Bertha Looney. She went there a little bit earlier than I did. It was in 1964 that I went there, and it was as hard for me as it was for her.
Absolutely.
I also went back to get my master's degree. This when the discrimination started, and I took 45 hours, and it took me 2 years to try to get a master's degree. So I just couldn't wait any longer. I wanted to get that increase in salary. So I started at Lemoyne College, Lemoyne, under Trevecca Nazarene College. They came here and opened up a session there. So I finished in 1992 with my degree, master's degree. So what did I have? I had a BS from Memphis State. I had 45 hours from Memphis State and the master's from Trevecca. So that's how that started. And I wrote a little part about being a legend in the millennium. During the civil rights era and start of integration at Memphis State University, University of Memphis in the 60s, I emerged as the first, I just got through saying, African American woman to play basketball, volleyball, and track, coached by the late Coach Elmer Roane. My history in sports at Memphis State University is listed in the University Archive Sports Division. Listed below are some of my accomplishments in making history. Not only did I make history at Memphis State University, but I made history once I left Memphis State University. I'm the first to coach, as my commentator said, boys football, 24 years, 1973 to 1997, grades 7 through 12. According to the Commercial Appeal newspaper Tennessee and the National Federation of Athletic Association in 1973, there was not any record of a woman coaching an all-male football team before. I was considered the first in the United States. First woman to coach an all-male football team in the community centers. Of course, you know, back then they didn't have football. They had, well, yes, they did. Yes, they did. They cut out junior high football because I was in it.
Oh, okay.
They cut it out.
Okay.
And so I had to go to Westwood Community Center to continue to coach football. So I went through the neighborhood. Everybody was with me. I wanted to coach those boys.
Can you talk about that a little bit? Why did you want to coach football? What made you want to do that?
Well, what happened was in 1973, they opened up the girls' sports. So I went to the superintendent. I wanted to leave. My first integrated school was Kingsbury High School. There were 3,000 white students and one black ninth grade gym teacher. And I felt lost. Of course, they were good to me now. They were good to me. I had my own doctors. I had my own doctors for my dogs. Birthdays, everything. My car was full with everything, flowers, candy, everything. I mean, they treated me like a queen. But I miss being at the black school. And so I went to the superintendent. Dr. Springer was the superintendent. And I asked him, could I move to an all-black school? So he agreed. I had to plead and all of that stuff. You know how that is. And so he sent me to Chickasaw Junior High, and they were just turning that school from an elementary white to a black junior high school. And so he sent me there to coach girls basketball since they were opening it up. And so when I got there, when the coaches said, where you think you're going? I said, I'm going to coach the girls basketball team. The superintendent sent me here to coach girls basketball. He said, I'm coaching girls basketball, so you can go on out there on the field and coach those boys. That's what you can do. So I said, yeah, that's a good idea.
That was your response.
Nothing about no football. All I knew is somebody caught it, somebody threw it, somebody passed it. That's all I knew. But I was a daredevil, you see. So anyway, the next day I went out there, had on my warm-ups and everything. So the other coach, the head coach, said, where you going? I said, I'm coming out here to coach football. He said, well, where's Coach Chapman? I said, he said he want to coach the girls basketball. What is going to happen now? But those boys were good to me. They showed me where the guard stood. They showed me where the tackle stood. They showed me where the end stood. Who was the best? The boys told me. Because the man, he refused to tell me because he didn't want me out there, you know. So anyway, that went on for a while. Anybody they didn't want in the ninth grade team that couldn't play, they threw them on my team. So I have a picture of them right here. My first football team, it says Coach Herman Adams, varsity, Coach Shirley McCray, 7th and 8th grade football team. So that shows you that I did have them. Now, I did not get paid though. They refused to pay me because they didn't want me out there. It started with the, it starts with the principal because the principal got to sign, right?
Sure.
So I stayed out there for 11 years and never got paid. But it didn't bother me because first of all, I had started getting notoriety. And so the newspapers, we had a commercial appeal now that did everything. And we also had the Memphis Press Scimitar. We had 2 papers in Memphis. So the commercial appeal did a write-up on me, and the commercial appeal started doing a write on me. So then the next thing happened was that Ebony started writing about me.
That is awesome.
Ebony, Kids World. Oh, I got Kids World somewhere down here. And Kids World came here and did a film on me, coaching, going through the drills and all of that. So in 1978, I just started getting all kind of awards from everywhere. The superintendent, let me see. I coached at Riverview, Kingsbury. Then I went to Chickasaw, and that's where I started coaching football. When I found out I could get paid at Lanier Junior High, if the principal signed, he was a friend of mine, I thought. And so he asked me to come over there, and then he hired somebody from from Mississippi. And we worked together through high school and after high school, because when we retired, we started coaching Little League. And we did it for 2 years after we retired. And my football boys, I couldn't get them to come out there. He said, hey, we're going to have to quit. I said, you are right. We are too old to be out here. So let's see. So I went to Lanier. I coached there 3 years. And they tried to put me out of high school. And the parents marched everything tried to keep me in there. I think we had something. I can't think of the thing that they called it at that time, desegregation or something, where you had to go back and revamp the whole school. So they thought that this was a time they could get me out of there, because the men that the coach had hired didn't want no woman out there. They said I was messing up the boys' mind, and all those.
You know what, Coach McCray, this is a good opportunity. Let me get to the first question, because I think what you're saying right there is going to be a good answer. So in this program, I have what I call the So What Success system. When someone can learn how to overcome obstacles, eliminate excuses, and calculate choices, they can have so what success. And that's success in spite of any challenges they might face. Mm-hmm. So talk about some of the obstacles you've had to overcome. I think you were talking about one just then. Mm-hmm.
Right. Let's see. Didn't get paid. So my cousin was the head of the EEOC at University of Hartford. Okay. So she had her committed to write to the United States government in Washington, D.C., and tell them how I was being discriminated against. And they came to Memphis, judge and all, and made them pay me the 11-year salary that they had not paid.
Oh, wow. Good. Yeah. Okay.
So that was another, thing that I had to overcome. Let me see.
I think that's amazing that you were redeemed in that way. That's awesome.
Right. But it didn't change the men. Mm-hmm. One coach told me, said, I would be better if I was getting $1,500 a month. This is when I got to high school. It would be better if you would just go in there and wash the clothes. You're going to get $1,500 for washing clothes. I said, that's not what I came here for. I came here to coach these young men, and I know everybody said, well, why did you want to? I wanted to be a legend for them. You say, nobody has asked, well, how did they feel about it? I knew I had good, strong mothers. Remember now, I'm not that far from slavery, and the things that were taught to me from my grandmother, the community, the church, all those places. Let me tell you, I was looking through a man's death notice, and his name was Dr. Booker T. Hodges. He was a dentist here in Memphis. And he said that, are you still on?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Okay, it's cut off.
No, we're good. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. And the four things that he said we as a race of people are losing: the home, the church, the school, and the community. I had all of those things. That's why I was able to succeed.
Sure.
I had strong mamas at home. And they said, whatever Coach McCray said, you do it. You say, but now you better not say that to another. You better not listen to no otherbody's mama, anybody else's mother, because they say you can't tell my child what to do. But anyway, let me show you the things that our forefathers and all had to overcome, the obstacles and excuses. You talked about excuses.
So that's my next question is about excuses. So yes, go ahead and talk about that.
All right. We were taught the value of honesty. They ain't doing that now. Hard work, moral integrity, and Christian love. See, these were values that was reinforced by the church. You see what I'm talking about? So this is what we're going through. The school was a continuation of the same basic values: honesty, hard work, moral integrity, a commitment to instill that knowledge required to enable one to make decisions and lead a productive life. That was my main objective for going out there with the young men. You see, so that they can be upstanding uh, young men in this world. And all of these four things, the home, the church, the school, the community, help to do that. Absolutely. And see, we're losing it. And this man was telling us that we need to get that back into our society. Now, one of my football boys wrote this in my book, and I want to share this. He said, in the words, this is in the words of one of my football boys, Eric Russian, at a time when many of our nation's inner city youths were faced with hopelessness and despair, Coach provided an array of hope to many, teaching us the skills needed to play the complex game of football, but more importantly, teaching us to play the complex game of life. And that's what I was trying to do. You say.
I think that's beautiful. I think that's, I mean, everything that you've done and what you've said is definitely true and still rings true today. Talk about some of the excuses you've had to eliminate, because Coach McCray, you've done some tough things and some hard things, and you've come up against lots of obstacles. What are some excuses that you had to say, hey, I'm not listening to that, I'm moving forward? What are some excuses you've had to eliminate from your life to be where you are today?
Well, I was taught not to make excuses.
That's good.
You know, and what I tried to do, I tried to show the young men that you need to be successful in life by showing others how to be successful. And that's what I tried to do. Whatever I did in life, I wanted them to see me as an example. And you know, my song is If I Can Help Somebody. As I travel along, I can, with a word or song, and keep them from doing wrong, that my living has not been in vain. And that's done by Mahalia Jackson. You don't know Mahalia Jackson, do you?
Oh, yes, I do. And I was saying the words to the song with you.
Yes, oh, yes. Yes, ma'am. That was my motto. If I can do, and you know, I started crying one morning, you know, because they send me little messages on my Facebook. And they say, Coach, this is my grandbabies. Coach, I'm helping I moved in with my daddy. He and mom can't get up to fix their breakfast. Say, but I'm helping them now. And see, he's doing the things that I taught him, or his mother had taught him. Doing for others, well, you can move forward faster.
Yeah. I think it's beautiful that you're still connected to a lot of your players too.
Oh, yes. Look, they older than I am. My first set of boys are 60. The boys that are in Ebony magazine are 56 this year. And when one of them reached 56, they send me a message on my Facebook. Coach, I made it. I told them if they can live past 35, they're going to live forever.
I love it.
Yeah. So
well, let me say this before you go to that. The next part of the So What Success System is about choices, calculating choices. So you've had to make a lot of tough choices in your life. Talk about some of those choices.
Well, I've already mentioned a few of them. How somebody had to come in and help me collect the money for 11 years. You know, I had to make a choice of whether I stayed with football or not.
Sure.
But they were getting the high money and I wasn't getting it. So my cousin had to help me go to the United States government. That's why so many women, I wish I could just tell my story to these women that are coming in. If it hadn't been for me, it wouldn't have been on the United States government list, giving them the opportunity of getting paid just like the men. Because I went, and it's on the record.
Sure.
I opened the door for them. So now we got two, one in the NFL and one in the AFL. I think the black one is in, the black young lady is in NFL. Say, so she
So
says she's ready.
you are a trailblazer, and you lead the way in a lot of ways, and I know so even not even just in sports, just as a woman and as a black woman, the doors that you've opened and the opportunities that you have created and paved the way for so many of us. You have been a success story in so many ways. How would you define success? Like, what is your personal definition of success, Coach McCray?
That you must realize that whatever you do in life, it should be a reflection of how God has blessed you. You know, you didn't make it in this world by yourself, say. And I showed my boys how to be successful in life. Before and at the end of the year, they went to church with me. The deacons at church would pick them up in front of the school and bring them to my church. And they got a chance to see Coach McCray in another fashion than at them about what they know. I direct the choirs for 41 years. So they, you know what I'm talking about? So that makes me cry sometimes. That, Lord, I did all of this and out of it.
Sure.
What came out of it? So let me tell you, there are three things that I have not done that I want to do.
Okay.
I wish I could do. I need a documentary on my film, my book, my life in being a player, and the young men. I want them to tell their story. Their story. You don't know how they felt playing for a woman. You know? Look, I used to, some of my boys was poor and their parents couldn't get them. I get the haircut. I show them how to cut the grass. That one of them got a business now of cutting grass. You know, a lawn mowing man.
Sure.
Right. So everything that I showed them was how to be a man. They say the woman didn't need to teach nobody. Teach a man, you're going to mess up his brain. But I guarantee you, none of them are shooting, killing, doing whatever they're doing now. Because I be looking at the paper. They better not be doing that. You know, the first thing I tell them, when you get on my team, don't embarrass me. That's the man. I said, because everybody is waiting for me to make a mistake.
Right. I can't even imagine
for you to make a mistake.
Sure. I know you had all that kind of pressure on you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And all those eyes on you.
Yeah. But I enjoyed it because I love coaching. I love being around children, you know. And believe it or not, now when they tell me that they got a grandchild or something, or some of my Sunday school students tell me that they got a baby or something, when I get on Publishing Clearinghouse, I get a book. I get something that they can use and teach with them and send it to them. Because I want them to be somebody. You know what I'm talking about? They can always say, Coach McCray cared about me. I remember sometimes my boys, they lived in, most of my boys, when I moved to Booker T, lived in the projects. And sometimes mom didn't have the money. But if I had it, they got it. You see? What if they weren't working, doing what they were supposed to, then I helped. I bought clothes. I saw to them going to college. One parent called me and said, Coach, you know my son was good when he was on your team. And so I said, he sure was. He said, well, he made straight A's and they didn't even give him a scholarship. I said, what? I called that coach. I said, what's wrong? Well, we didn't have enough to go around. I said, but the boy got straight A's. You should have been fine. So I called the school. And just so happened, this coach remembered him when I played his team at Ridgeway. And that coach was he was the football coach at Rhodes College.
Okay.
And he remembered this boy, Beckton, running that ball through his board. Oh, we beat them so bad, they had to call out the ambulance. Because I told them if they lose again, they're going to run ever how many times that they lost by. And I guarantee you, they had to call the ambulance out there. My boys was hitting that day. So anyway, I called him. He said, well, Coach, can you get me a film on him? He said, I already know how good he is. I said, I sure can. And I went to Fairleigh, and that coach had a runoff film on him. And I sent it. He said, well, he got that scholarship. I ain't got but one scholarship, and I'm giving it to him. I'm giving it to him. Now this boy is the head. He went through college, made straight A's, set all kind of records running the football. And now he's working for a Jewish organization. And now he called me last week or last month and told me they had moved him up to the top so he can do all this work off of his computer. You know, they wanted to move him to Maryland or something. I don't know what to do because, hey, that's an extension of me. How I got on him and how I did this for him and got that scholarship. His daughter and son both graduated from Rhodes College. I got a lot of positive things that have happened.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I hear you still got that coach in you too. Let me ask you this. Talk about, I have one more question for you before we wrap up. But before I ask you that question, talk about the pictures that you have behind you a little bit more. I know you talked about some of the articles. There's one right behind you, the biggest one back there. What's that one?
That was when I went to high school. Can you see it?
I can see it.
Okay, I went to Booker T High School. And that was, we had a big fight over there. But anyway, the men didn't want me over there, but I stayed there. Okay, I fixed all the equipment, put the stuff together, washed the boys' clothes because the men wouldn't wash them. Taught them about hygiene and stuff. That's a man. That's a man. I coach I'm the first to coach basketball at Memphis State. At Booker T. Washington High School. And let me tell you about this thing that happened right here. That's my last team at Booker T. And we were supposed to play Westwood High School, Westwood Junior High. And they cheated us out of the game. We had won the league, and we were playing them for the championship. And they cheated us out of that. Let me tell you, we were running down there almost to the goal. And it started raining real hard. And the referees threw up their hands and said, game over, and ran off the field. And that team had 6 points. And we were getting ready to run for a touchdown. They wouldn't call the game again. You know, they felt so bad. They sent me a trophy.
Oh, really?
They sent me a trophy and a plaque and a thing. Champions Football Award, District Runner-Up. They didn't want me to win. So they gave me this for outstanding teamwork, sportsmanship at Booker T. Washington High School. Ain't that something? Gave me so I wouldn't go back and fuss about it.
That's what I was going to say. I know you don't take anything laying down.
No, So I was mad. I called the we have a league, a champion, no, not a champion, but a person that's over our district. I called him, well, coach, you know how the men do. Well, coach, it was raining and the referees didn't want to finish the game. Hey, any game we had to finish it, even if it was raining. Say, but because that other team, if we had ran that touchdown, it would have been a tie, and then we would have had to run kick the ball, right? They wouldn't let us play the game. Referees threw up the hand and ran off. I was so mad I didn't know what to mean. And the boy said, Coach, don't worry about it. He said, God's gonna fix it. That's what I always tell them. But I didn't know that. I didn't know the answer. I said, son, God's gonna fix it. He's gonna fix it.
I love it. You have had an amazing journey, an amazing career. And I appreciate you sharing with us, just in the little bit of time that we've had to talk. I know it's so much more that you can say. Yes. I know it is. But what's one last piece of advice? Because everybody they need to go out and get your book and read your book and see your story.
And look, they done stole, look, honey, they done stole my book. If you look on the, what is this they got them on? Amazon, what's these other places you can buy my book? They have stolen my book. They have changed the color of my book. Now I'm talking about the obstacles that I got to go through. They done changed the color of my book to gray. Coach McGray. They're selling my book overseas for $145. And
so let's talk offline so we can look into that. We can talk offline and figure out what that's all about. Right, but so people want to know more about you. I want to encourage them to get this book that looks just like this.
And I'm working on something. My sister and I, we said we're going to sit down tonight and write a letter to Tyler Perry.
That's awesome.
They need to do a book, what I had to go through and talk to these boys. And I'm sure they had men coaches past this time. You see what I'm talking about?
Sure.
What did they think about this woman coaching them?
I think somebody, Coach McCray, I before I ask you this last question, I'll say this. Somebody watching this may not be aware of your story and may not know that that's your desire. And who knows what can come from that, because a lot of people are going to watch this video, this interview. A lot of people are going to be inspired by it, and a lot more people are going to know your story and may be able to help you create this documentary that I know will help a lot of people. So the last question I have for you.
Before you do that last question, I said that my aim is that I can be in the Tennessee in Memphis Hall of Fame. Tennessee Hall of Fame. Now they can put everybody else in there. Even my cousin got in there. She ran track, I guess maybe 30 years ago. She got in there and she said, when she walked in there, everybody called all the people down there. And so when she walked in there, she didn't see me. She said, wait a minute, where is Coach McCray? Well, we didn't have enough room for her. She the only woman sitting up there. And it's all men that won 30 or 40 games, they second in the league and all of that. But they didn't even invite me. And Tennessee Hall of Fame say I got 5 years to do it. I even sent my information to what's the one in Washington, D.C.?
I'm not familiar.
Yes, you are. But it talks about the history of the United States, the Black history.
Oh, the African American History Museum.
Right. I sent information to them.
Well, let me say this.
Can't get anywhere,
Well, like I said before, Coach McCray, I think a lot of people will see this. A lot more people will become aware of your story, and who knows what's to come from it. I know for me personally, I did want to honor you and give you your flowers and
I
your the
appreciate that.
respect that I know that you deserve and that you've
Yeah.
earned, that you work so
Mhm.
hard for.
Yeah.
And I hope that you start to get it in even more areas where you've
I
earned it
hope
and
so
you
before
deserve.
I die.
I hope so too. I hope so too. Well, let me ask you this question.
Uh,
What advice would you give to someone who wants to achieve success in spite of obstacles, just like you have done? You've had tremendous obstacles, but you have been successful. Even if you haven't gotten all the acknowledgement that you deserve, you know you have been successful as a football coach in all the other areas of your life, and you've been successful in impacting the lives of young men.
mhm.
What advice would you give to someone who wants to be successful?
Putting Christ first. Work and act as you're supposed to. Everybody know right from wrong. It was something I wrote down from the Bible. Provide. I cannot think of it. The more you bless somebody else, the more the Lord will bless you. And when you make that a priority in your life, you're gonna be successful. Even though I had all of these things from Memphis State on down, I had all this against me. I stood firm because I knew I was working with somebody's life. And the more they succeed, the more I succeed. That's why I wanted somebody to listen to those boys. Listen to them. I think one of my boys wrote Dr. Yvonne, about his in tri-state,
Okay.
about his experience with me. He had strong mother and father, but he talks about how I helped him to move forward and be successful. And that's what I like to hear. That something I did, That's why my motto is if I can help somebody, it says, do my duty as a good man ought. If I can bring back beauty to a world of rock, if I can spread love's message as the master taught, then my living will not be in vain. And that's what I preached that over and over. And we prayed every night. I know they know the Lord's Prayer for good.
Yeah.
Yes,
Well,
man.
on that note, Coach McCray, I think that's a beautiful end. And I live by that song too. And I live by those words. And your
That's
living
right.
will not be in vain. You have touched the lives of so many people, and you will continue
Right.
to inspire people with your story. And I thank you so much for the honor and the privilege and
Thank
the
you for the
opportunity
honor. Thank you.
to spend this time talking to you and share your story in just one more place and hopefully spread it even more broadly around the world. I look forward to seeing your documentary when somebody picks this up and says they're gonna run with it.
Yeah, if you know somebody, I'm going to send a letter to Tyler Perry because Memphis helped put him on the map. I know you didn't know it because you was probably young, but he used to come to Memphis all the time with his crew. And honey, when we started piling in the theaters, shoot, he got really rich. So I don't want him to forget me.
Well, I thank you. Look, I thank you, Coach McCray. And just look, we both gonna pray that he sees this, and he says, I gotta talk to that lady.
That's right.
Thank
That's
you.
right. Yes. And thanks to my boys too, if they listening to this.